Welcome to episode 7 of the Friends2Gether podcast. Let's go around the room and introduce you to our guest today. We've got Phil with us. Say hello, Phil.
Hello, it's the guest calendar, Phil. Yeah.
We've got Sonia with us.
Hi, everyone.
We've got Ben with us.
Hello.
We've got Em with us.
Hello.
We've got EJ with us. Say hello,
Good
EJ.
day.
G'day, mate. And we've got Tony with us. Say hello, Tony.
How you doing?
So last week we talked about a variety of things. Among them was place names of bucks and the way people sometimes mispronounce them and ham them up and say them differently. This, in a seamless link, this week we're talking about nothing whatsoever to do with that. We are going to talk about, first up, hidden talents, everybody. Has anybody got any hidden talents? We're going to go around the room. And when I say hidden talents, maybe a skill or something that other people, you could teach them about, which they potentially, other people don't know about, and you don't make a song and dance about it. We'll start with Tony. We'll go clockwise this time. Tony, have you got any hidden talents? Anything that other people in the room might not know you can do, or like bricklaying, or not?
I like cooking.
Cooking?
Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
So, yeah, I don't mind cooking.
Fresh stuff, or in a pot noodle in a microwave?
No, slow cooker or frying pan. That type of thing. Just, I cooked something last night, a chicken casserole.
Is that something that you might have picked up around the world, Tony, on your travels? Have you been a chef or a cook?
No, nothing like that. Just through the course of your life, you just, if you need to eat, you learn to cook, you know?
Slowly learn to cook good foods because you don't eat the horrible stuff, I guess.
I try to keep away from certain types of food if I can.
Junk food or just certain meats or vegetables? Are you vegetarian or anything like that?
Meat, no, nothing like that, but more power to you if you are, you know. Whatever you like to do, that's entirely up to you.
Each to their own, whatever it takes to get you through the night.
Yeah.
EJ, have you got any hidden talents, any skills or anything that the rest of us might not know about?
Not that I can think of.
No.
No.
I think there's something in there. We're going to lure it out at one stage. And nothing that you want to discuss today?
No.
No, certainly not. Em, is there anything that you want to bring to the table?
Not really.
Perfect guess, you two. I said to Molly earlier this question. She said that should probably be enough questions for the podcast. I said, what if we go around the room and they all say no, not really, no.
I'm interested in music. I'm interested in writing lyrics. I'm interested in watching movie.
Do you follow a particular director, or do you follow a particular film style, or a particular horrors or comedies, or?
Not any specific.
Whatever takes your fancy.
No. Whatever film, I think it's interesting.
What the storyline, or who's made it?
Not necessarily the storyline. If I hear from certain people that it's interesting film, I trust them.
Yeah.
If that makes sense.
Whose judgment do you trust? That's the thing.
That's what I see from certain people.
Yeah.
That's what I see.
People you can learn to trust, and you know they're onto a good thing if they say it's a good film. Yeah. Fair enough. Ben, have you got any hidden talents, any skills? Are you any bricklaying, plastering, juggling?
It's a difficult one because I think, my talents are so obvious.
Exactly. They're not hidden, are they? They're not hidden, Ben. They're out there for all to see.
It's a curse.
The humbleness.
Humbleness, It's hidden humbleness.
I've got a hidden modesty. I mean, I've got a slightly strange personality in that I enjoy, and I think I'm quite good at being able to deal with difficult and unpleasant people, and I think I'm able to hold my own. But something I really enjoy is finding opportunities where I don't have to do that, where I can just be gentle and supportive and patient. And I mean, it'd be bizarre and arrogant to describe that as a hidden talent.
Yeah.
But it is something I've paid attention to developing over the years. And something I enjoy doing.
Absolutely. Cool. Sonia, have you? I'm presuming you're a bricklayer, are you? Or
I have actually laid bricks before now. Yeah. We were landscaping our garden, and it started out with mixing up concrete by hand in a washing up bowl with rubber gloves.
Were you in charge of the bricks or the cementing then?
I was in charge of mixing and hod carrying.
Or the hod carrier?
But
lugging over your shoulder.
But my husband was in charge of actually laying the bricks because he's better at it than I was.
Yeah.
So
were you like a backseat driver there? Were you like pointing out to him where he was going wrong the whole time? Like, don't do that, you need to put a brick there. That bit's a bit wonky, you need a bit more solution in there.
No, I'm not.
No?
That's not me at all.
No, you were never a backseat driver?
No, never.
Oh, wow, I'm pretty impressed.
Was it a rockery type affair?
No, it's a proper sort of, I don't know what the proper wording of it is, but
wall?
But the whole of the garden, we put steps in, we put retaining walls and all sorts of things in the garden.
Nice. Property magnate over here.
And also dug out the ground for a greenhouse as well. I've got a nice 10 by 12 greenhouse. So
right, so I kind of led you down that path to the bricklaying. Is there anything that hidden talents which you want to?
Well, none that I could share, really.
No.
When you say you can't share them,
I knew that.
You mean ice skating, dancing?
They're the ones
that
that really
like
interest people.
Yeah. So I started dancing at the age of 4, so I do tap and ballet and modern dance, and then in my mid 20s, I took up ice skating. And I became a team captain for a synchronised ice skating team.
Cool.
I was that for 12 years, and we competed in the UK and also internationally as well. So
you travelled with the team and all that?
Yeah.
She's represented Britain.
Yeah.
Did you really?
Yeah, she told us a few weeks ago on the podcast.
There was it was an adult skating team, and there was only 4 teams in the country. But yeah, we went to compete in Switzerland,
and that's
for the Swiss Cup. It's actually synchronised. It's a cross between. It's not actually dancing because there were 16 of us on the ice at the time, and you do wheels and blocks and things. It's quite big in Canada and the States, and more in Europe. A lot of the Nordic countries as well. They've got some really, really good teams.
Yeah.
And
she's got a national team strip. I said if that was me, I'd have had it up on the wall, like get a frame and stuff like that. Because not many people have represented their country at anything.
Exactly.
I think
that's be proud of.
I hadn't actually thought about it. To be
International
honest,
sportswoman extraordinaire.
Again, I wouldn't go out on an ice rink on my own and do a number, as it were. But if I'm with a team of other people, it's quite good. We've done Christmas shows and things to raise money for charity and things, which was quite fun.
Like Disney on Ice, Sonia on Ice. Maybe we could do that for Oasis at Christmas. Sonia on Ice, the extravaganza.
I haven't been on the ice for about 10 years now. My boots actually don't fit me anymore.
Should we get you out on what's the pond in the park over there called? Lowndes Park.
Oh yeah,
when that freezes over, we'll chuck you out on the old ice.
Yeah,
and
I'd
get
be quite happy. Yeah,
dress up like Pluto or whatever his name is.
Yeah, I'm actually more of an ice dancer. I learned how to do like ballroom dancing on ice, so like waltzes and tangos and foxtrot. Yeah, foxtrot
with the lift.
Well, no. Poor person has to try and lift me. No. But spins, and little things, little jumps.
Cool.
But not.
And we've mentioned before, Tony, she's actually met Torvill and Dean.
Have you?
Well, Jane Torvill, I've met. She actually presented us with one of our medals because we won the British 3 times. So she actually presented our medals to us, which was a nice. That's cool. Which was a nice thing, yeah.
So that's not really hidden talent because we know all about it now. It's out there, isn't it? It's out there in the ether. It's out there.
That's it.
And you have a talent for, as if I may be remiss in saying, is it to do with fonts? You can recognise fonts, and you used to be in the print game, didn't you? So you're quite good at. You told me about that previously on one of our podcasts.
Oh right,
yeah.
Okay.
So she can recognise fonts and.
Yeah.
And what was it? That story you told me about the bit at the end of the font in the old
right,
days?
yes, I remember. Yeah, the serif on the end of a font. You get when you get a typeface, a letter. This is probably very boring for everybody. But when you get a letter, you get something called a serif typeface or a sans serif typeface, and sans means without. So you've got without the little bits at the end. And how those little bits at the end came about was when they were stonemasons. They would chisel the letters in, and then to get a really sharp end point, they would chisel like 90 degrees to the letter. And that's what they've kind of continued to represent.
So
that's what the serif actually means on the typeface.
If you font types and Word and stuff, they've got that little tick on the end. It's where the stonemasons used to run
where they used to finish off the letter. They turn the chisel 90 degrees and then just finish it off.
So like a full stop? Or
Yeah.
Okay.
So they could take their chisel out of the stone.
Yeah.
Well, I've learnt something today. So it was worth getting out of bed today.
Some fonts, printed fonts, have that full stoppy thing at the end. Some don't. Is that what you're saying?
No, it's not actually a full stop, but it's
the break point, Phil. So when they were doing a certain letter, so where they take the chisel out of the.
They turn it through 90
I
degrees.
understand
so they get a nice
that,
sharp
but in
edge.
terms of a printed font, how does that manifest itself?
It's I'll have to demonstrate. So you could do a letter T.
Yes.
A letter T, but so that would be a sans serif typeface because it's got no serifs on it. But then you find a T that's got like little twiddly bits on the end.
On the end.
And at the bottom. That's a serif.
Attached to the T.
Yeah.
I understand exactly.
Like a little
That's
curl or
what
swish
serif.
where
well explained. Thank you.
where he took
Sorry
off
for
his
dead.
chisel.
No, not at all. So the little twiddly bits at the end.
Well, that's very
And to
interesting.
this day, on
historic.
computers and Word and stuff,
Like
they've still
that.
got the little ticky bits on the end.
Like
Yeah.
the tea.
Yeah.
The little sharp points.
I
on the end.
realise this isn't making very good
No,
radio,
not
but I understand it very clearly.
Yeah, sorry, everybody.
No, not at all.
But actually, if you want to try and work out the easiest way to work out what a typeface is look at the letter G. So both the uppercase G and the lowercase G. Because some of them are like two circles joined together, and others are like and the other one is the ampersand, which is that little funny squiggly thing that means and.
I know.
Yeah.
And that's usually a dead giveaway as to what, because they're usually very specific to particular typefaces.
Okay.
And actually, while we were just on text, sorry to hog the thing, you remember the uppercase and the lowercase I was telling you about?
Yeah.
That goes back to typesetting days where the big letters used to be in the top case, so that used to be the uppercase. And when they were making up the plates, and the little letters would be in the lowercase, which is the box lower down.
Case,
So it's literally a box.
Uppercase
Amazing.
and lowercase.
And that's where you get uppercase and lowercase.
Sonia, tell me, what was it in your life you did that gave you all this knowledge?
I did graphic design as my background, and so I did typography as part of my course, my HND course.
And further to that, a lot of albums was it the 80s or 90s? She used to work on album covers. So a lot,
Oh
Never.
no! Dragging this
a lot
up.
of album
never.
covers. Sonia worked on
Oh,
in
tell
the
us
company
some,
she
tell us
worked.
some.
Quite by chance, yeah. I fell into working with this company. You know when you leave art college and you say, "Oh yeah, I'd really like to work on album covers." Don't forget, back in those days, it was vinyls. And so you obviously had a bigger real
Surface
estate.
area to work with.
Exactly. Not like little CDs and things you get now. And by complete chance, I ended up working for this company, and we used to do work for RCA Records and WEA Records as well. So I worked on the Prince Purple Rain album.
Wow. Yeah.
And because what they would do is they'd release the albums in the States, WEA Records would release the albums in the States, and then they would release them like maybe a couple of weeks later in the UK, and all the text and everything would have to be redone for the UK market. And there were things like Prince had various people like Vanity who came along. I did her album cover for her, and
I think
Foreigner.
Wasn't Vanity one of his backing singers or
Yeah,
something? And then she
yeah.
launched a solo career.
Yeah.
Because their words are different. Some of their words are different to ours, aren't they?
Yes, so you have to do it for European
May I
market.
ask what do you do for foreigners?
Pardon?
You mentioned foreigner.
Yeah, we did Foreigner.
Yeah.
Yeah, that was one of ours. And also the
What album was that? Which one?
I can't remember. I can't remember which one it was, but that was from our studio. But my faux pas that I made at one point was we had a light box in the studio, and they'd just been over to the WA Records to pick up some new transparencies. All the images used to come in on transparencies, and we'd spread them out on the light box. And so we were all having a quick look, and one of the ladies said, "Oh, Sonia, she looks a bit like you." And I thought, "Oh, who's this new person that they're talking about, this new album cover?" And I said, "Oh, yeah, okay, well, she looks a bit tarty, but never mind. I'm sure she won't last long." When they told me what her name was, it was Madonna.
You look like a young Madonna, did you, back in the day? Oh, wow. The curly hair, yeah.
That's an incredible story.
Yeah, so I
this
thought, oh
stuff
my
you've got in you,
goodness,
Sonia. Tell
Madonna,
us.
of all people, you know. So Madonna, if you're listening to this, I am sorry.
So how does the light box
It
work then?
backlight, because all transparencies are like positive images. It's like in the olden days we used to scan everything on a scanner. So you would pick your image from a transparency, usually a 5x4. They'd be a bigger format.
Wow.
You just spread them out in the light box. You just choose the right one, and then you get the printer to scan it.
Did you do those Rooney letters on the Led Zeppelin albums?
No, that wasn't one of ours. No.
Oh, the runes, yeah.
Yeah, all those little funny islands floating in the middle of nowhere on the Yes albums. Do you do that?
No.
No.
So
Did you do that?
Yes was
Before
was
your
a lot-
time?
yeah, long before my time.
Oh, you see, I'm a lot older than you.
But it's like Prince and so far now.
Well, it's a very good
Madonna.
story anyway.
And you know, the really sad thing is, once everything had been printed, they chucked all the artwork out in a skip.
Well, I imagine
And
if you'd have kept that, it'd have been
and
worth
I
a
said,
bit of
"Oh,
dosh. Now the Prince one, particularly.
Why are you doing that? Can't I go and get it?" And I was forbidden to actually go and get it. So I hope somebody, you know,
Oh, a
went
collector
and
would have
actually
loved that, wouldn't they?
yeah.
Anyone I would have.
Yeah.
Because it was all done. I mean, those days it was done. We didn't have computers then. It was all done on proper, you know,
So they page
baseboard.
set it and then they just threw it all away.
And you know, with overlays and the things, you know, typesetting. So you'd have to go into the dark room and do all your kerning, all your working out all your letter spacing
That would
and
be
everything
my
in the
next
dark
question
room.
about memorabilia. Actually,
Yeah, have you got any?
Where we
Did you get any of the
got
albums?
from.
No, I do have. Yeah, I do have some, but not from
Ones
that
that you'd
pressing.
bought
I had
because
to.
you knew you'd worked on it, kind of way.
Yeah.
Well, we could sign your own records, couldn't you? Like, I worked on this one, sign it. Prince would scrub his name off and put Sonia's on there.
But the best thing was we used to listen to all the albums before they were released.
Yeah.
That was the nice thing.
Were there
was
any
to-
that you thought were rubbish and then they went on to be really like multi-selling
Not
albums?
really. Not really.
Or ones that you
Nothing
liked and
was
then they bombed out of?
No. Not particularly. No.
I suppose the record labels could make or break records in those days, could they?
Yeah.
Depending on how much money they spent promoting it and how much they bribed the radio stations and stuff to play them and stuff.
It's really weird when I think, because I used to do a lot of running as well. Apart from doing the work on, you know, doing the artwork, I used to actually go into the actual offices.
I thought you meant running as
and
in
get-
like a hobby, but no, you're actually taking the stuff around
Well, that's
London.
what you were called. You were called a runner.
Yeah.
Because you'd run between the where your studio was and where the client was.
So did
And
you ever
I
meet Prince or
Worked in
Madonna?
Soho. No.
No.
So
I was hoping you'd say that because you could have told us last week. Oh, you weren't here where you're like the famous people you might have met. Prince and Madonna, that would have been up
I think
there.
you've had an incredibly varied and interesting career and life. You've done so much.
Oh, okay. Thank you.
Sonia, the autobiography. I'm sensing it now. We could make our
really,
millions.
really, don't you think?
My tales of winning gold.
Oh, and I also did video covers as well.
Videos?
Yeah, video
I
covers.
used to like those.
Dare we
videos.
ask which ones?
Felix the cat.
Felix the cat.
Is that a
It's a cartoon.
yeah?
Yeah,
is
like,
it an album?
like Disney, you know, Steamboat Willie and all of that business.
Wow.
Yeah.
Robbie Williams' new gig, isn't it?
Yeah. Cartoons galore. Phil, have you got any hidden talents or any skills set that we might not know about that you've kept up your non-existent sleeves today?
No, I can't think so. I'm not very.
None that you're prepared to reveal?
Well, it's not
or
that. I'm
none?
just a bit of a dull sort of person, really.
Ah, Phil.
Yeah.
Stop it.
None of that talk, please.
But I am quite interested in deep truths. And when you mentioned about how you can believe things, and you say it depends on the person, there's an essay written about that by 17th, 18th century philosopher David Hume on miracles. If I said to you I saw Richie Sunak jogging along the street when I came in this morning, would you believe me? You know,
Yeah.
you don't know me very well. You know, sorry, carry on.
Yes, I would.
You would?
Why not? Yeah.
All right, okay. But if I said I saw every prime minister from Peel to the present one jogging along the side of the street, you'd probably say.
It depends, if you work or if you've been around that circle of people.
Yes. So there's lots of.
Yeah.
So
I'll give you the benefit of a doubt.
well, that's good. That's good. So every one of us, when we're taken with a new mate, be it a conspiracy theory or an unlikely event, we judge it on who tells us, how many people tell us. It's almost like we've all got a number from 0 to 1 above our heads, as I'm seeing, and I would say, oh, that's an unlikely event, but those 5 people are telling me that just adds up to, yeah, I'll believe that sort of thing. And that's the way we decide the way of the world.
When is something a conspiracy theory, and when is it a narrative?
That is positional. That is entirely positional. That's a good point. I see you're into this sort of thing. Yeah, no, the thought, not the conspiracy theory, the thought process. Exactly so. So even in saying that, I'm exhibiting a prejudice. Yes, that's true. I shouldn't say that. Any fact, I should have said. Any fact that you're unaware of beforehand. Yeah. Yes.
Yeah, but if you just take people at face value, that's how I am with people. However they come across, that's how I take them. So, how are you supposed to judge it other than that?
I'll give you an example. Do you remember you told me a story about how you were fined in Berkhamsted
Yeah.
for dropping a... It's a good story. Tell it.
Well, just sitting outside a cafe waiting to go to an appointment, and some lady kept checking me out.
Oh, yeah.
It was raining.
As it happens to him a lot,
You thought,
actually.
yeah.
No. I wondered what was happening, so I was sitting there smoking, waiting to drink me coffee, and I put my cigarette out on the floor, went back into the cafe, was sitting there, and she came in and said, I need to talk to you outside.
And you thought, I'm in here.
Yeah.
So I said, well, no, if you want to talk to me here in front of all these people. I didn't know who she was.
She was going to knife you or something.
Well, you don't know. So, anyway, she got me outside and she said, I've got to tell you that you've broken the law by dropping that cigarette butt. And there were cigarette butts on the floor, but she'd seen me. Anyway, I got fined 80 quid. And basically that's the story.
Oh, wow.
Yeah.
How could she prove it was your cigarette butt if there was many?
Well, she'd been watching me.
Did she take DNA?
Possibly, no, but she was watching me. That was her job. She was a cigarette warden, apparently.
The cigarette police.
Yes, the cigarette warden, and that's a good career ladder. There's a lot to be.
She
You can
can
go up to
progress to
senior
cigar
cigarette
warden
warden, and then you end up as a minister in the government.
And you hope your career doesn't go up in smoke.
Very
Boom.
Interesting. That story has been elaborated. It now runs that she was standing in front of you, and before she gave you the fine, she sort of ripped her coat off to, say cigarette warden emblazed on her T-shirt.
No, she had a...
I know. I'm saying the story's grown in the telling from...
Oh, I see.
Yeah, that's
just,
right. Yeah.
Right.
You told me that story, and it seemed slightly unlikely because I couldn't believe there'd be such a thing as a cigarette warden. But I thought, yeah, I believe that, But if it had been more unlikely, like...
Chewing gum.
Well, chewing gum, yeah, in that respect, a lesser thing.
Litter
Or
dropping.
there was a police car full of cigarette wardens.
Yeah.
I might have thought, I'm not certain about that, So it depends on the unlikelihood of the account and the faith you have in and the multiplicity of the sources. And that's the way...
And the anger that he had about having to pay 80 quid, I think that was when we believed it was true. And you showed me the letter, didn't you? So I knew.
Yeah, well, that 80 is a lot of money,
Well, it is if you think, I don't know, 10 people a day.
But the interesting thing was the cafe owner said to him that Tony shouldn't pay it because it's his land and he wouldn't... Something to do with prosecuting,
That's
and
right.
if it's on his land that they
You're
can't
on
do it. It's not on.
private
It's on
property,
private
then
property, not
they
public
can't
property.
touch it.
And not only to have a ticket, you have to accept that the ticket because they don't know your name,
Yeah.
they don't know your address, you
Yeah.
don't have a registration number.
How did you play it, Tom?
So that means you
when they
choose to
said,
pay it.
"What's your name?" and did you think about giving a false name? Like,
Mouse, yeah.
No, I just... I didn't want no hassle. I didn't.
That's-
Started mentioning court and all sorts of
Sort
stuff.
of
and
put
I
scare
was
tactics
That's
on you.
scare tactics,
Yeah.
You know, so
It's like these parking places, isn't it, where they try charging you. If you have to accept the fine, don't you? They're not classed as fines, are they? There's a way around it. They're classed as penalty notices. rather than
Polite
fines, aren't they?
donations.
Yeah, penalty notices.
which I found out about afterwards.
Yeah.
After I paid it.
Who wants to? So I had a win against these guys, right? So I was in Wickham Lido. We can tell it on the podcast, 'cause local news. And I was playing football, and one of my so I paid for 2 hours in the parking thing, and one of my players broke their leg. So I was waiting out on the pitch with them for the ambulance to arrive. Obviously, my 2 hours went past, so I gave it. I said to one of the players, "Can you put another £1 in the meter? Because I've run out of da-da-da-da." And in my number plate was 0NR or something, and he put in ONR or something. So they were trying to pursue me to say that it was my responsibility to put in the correct number plate.
Oh, that is.
And I
that
said,
is
well, I was
thin.
waiting on the pitch
That
for
is
my
thin, yeah.
player that had broken his leg, blah blah blah. So they were pursuing it all through the car, and I had this ticket here all along showing that I'd actually paid for that period of time,
Yeah,
but
the
the guy
initial-
just put a 0 instead of an O, and they would not let it go.
Oh,
So
that is incredible.
so here you go, Phil.
Story.
Here's our petty I one. I let them issue all the court paperwork and take it, and then I didn't respond to the first lot. So then they played another. So they have to pay £80 to issue the paperwork. Then they had to pay another £120 to issue it into court. So I just kept running it all along, and then when it got to the lead up to the court, I said, "Oh, by the way, I've got this ticket," and so it cost them £200 to pursue me, and I got away with it. Yeah,
Good
so
stuff.
there's a win for the good guys there.
I have the same at the moment. I went to a dentist in High Wycombe, and my husband, we went into the car park. He stayed in the car because I just had to go in to ask a question. And when you go in, you have to put your number plate in. It's in Frogmore. They've got you put your number plate in. I did it as usually the receptionist tells you as well.
Yeah,
And a week, 2 weeks later, we got through the post
Charge,
saying that we
yeah.
owed £60.
yeah,
So I didn't pay it. I wrote to them a handwritten letter
Yeah.
because I don't agree that they should make you send emails
Yeah.
because maybe you're somebody that doesn't have a computer,
More
doesn't agree
convenient
with
for
a
them.
computer, is too old, doesn't know a computer.
yeah.
So it's carried on now. This has been going on since October, and they sent it to a collections agency.
Yeah.
I got in touch with them, and the thing is, we were 5 minutes in the car park, which
Yeah.
means most car parks have a leeway of 5
Yeah,
minutes
dropping off
anyway.
the period, yeah.
On the photo, it didn't have a timestamp either.
Yeah.
And when I went back to the dentist, there was another gentleman that they'd done the same to him.
Yeah.
So it's just a con to get money to make you scared that they're going to take you to court.
Well, when I did
So I said, take me to court.
when I
got no
did
problem
Tesco's
with it.
deliveries, I think you're allowed to park anywhere for 15 minutes. I think it is, 'cause if you're dropping off or collecting, you've got like a 15-minute period. I think it's either 10 or 15 minutes. So just dropping off and collecting stuff. So if you weren't there 5 minutes, you can easily
Yeah, it's a grace
argue that one.
period, isn't there? 10
Yeah.
minutes.
Did
Yeah.
To go and get change. I think that's how it originally started.
Yeah, exactly.
Gives you
Sounds
The
reasonable.
same as
Yeah.
in car parks, the signs have to be in an exact size, bigger than, like, if their
Some
signage is too small, you don't have to pay the fine.
Yeah, so there's a whole business out there, isn't there, of solicitors that argue these cases, and like groups that get together and they give you templates of letters to write and stuff. But it's got to the stage now where people just automatically go to these people and then send them the letter, and they've got smart to it a little bit, haven't they? And they've got ways of arguing the toss, and they're still pursuing people. But it's amazing, isn't it? Like the councils, you'd think, would want the high streets to be populated and people to encourage people to go and spend money in their shops, but they're just putting more and more parking charges and technology, isn't it?
More pressure on people to...
And some elderly folk, for maybe 70-year-olds, they haven't got a smartphone necessarily, have they? And they want to pay change, and if there's no parking meter that you can put change in, they're not going to go and park there, are they? And they're not going to go into the high street, and the high street's going to lose out on money. It's I think they should have some parking grace, so to speak, like where you can park for an hour before you need to get a ticket, because it was just generate the high street again, wouldn't it? Like people popping in to say get a toy for their child, or nipping in to get some milk or some, going to Greg's to spend some money in there. Obviously other pastry shops are available, I should mention. But they should give you an hour grace. I suppose their argument is that how do they police the hour, don't they? If you don't get the machine should give you an hour's free parking, shouldn't they? I mean, that would regenerate the high streets, wouldn't it? But they don't want it, do they? They want the money because they use it to maintain the car parks, don't they, basically? But yeah, they should at least give you an hour, I think, to go and park somewhere like Amersham, Chesham. There's a big hoo-ha in Amersham at the moment because all the cash machines have been taken away, so everyone's complaining about you can't put the change anymore, so either a card one or an app. And I suppose most people have got a card, haven't they? But
yeah, but some machines don't even take cards anymore.
And a lot of them are broken. The article we were reading.
I had an issue. I had to park in Crawley not so long ago, where not Crawley, in Horsham, and I drove into the car park, and the machine wouldn't take any a credit card.
Yeah.
And it didn't take cash because they don't collect cash anymore. And my phone was too old to download the app.
And that makes me really angry.
So
Not a lot makes me angry, but I'm furious.
I think quite a lot makes you angry.
I end up driving out of the car park.
That's exactly what I did. I actually had to drive out the car park and go and find a parking meter on the road somewhere that I could just about scrape together some shrapnel.
My friends
now,
if they ever invite me to anything, they give me they say you can park here for free because they know that I just won't go if I can't park or stuff. It annoys me that much that I get parking anxiety. Like I know I need to park somewhere and for like if it's just for an hour, I need to somewhere that I can park long term and stuff like without getting one of these £80 fines or £60 fines or whatever. Right, so moving on to our second topic of the week. So this is one I always ask my music students when I'm first starting giving them guitar lessons and stuff, which is when you first discovered music, you've gone past your boy band and your girl band phase, your Jason Donovan and Kylie, you know, the music that was on in Top of the Pops in the background, and you've become a cool teenager and you've got your own style, you know, you started dressing a certain way, doing your hair a certain way, you think you're cooler than school, you know more than your adults and stuff. Which band were you into at that stage? Whose posters did you have up on the wall when you were just developing your own style of music and you were developing your character? Who was your passion project band? Whose posters did you have up on the wall? We'll start with you, Tony. Who were you into?
Thinking.
I will listen to absolutely anything.
But can you remember back when you were a teenager, when who was the first? Everyone has their one band that they were obsessed with and they got them into music and.
Not really.
Nah?
No. I remember the first record I actually went out and bought myself.
Go on.
What was that?
It was Bohemian Rhapsody.
Oh wow.
By Queen.
Yeah.
But I was a skinhead.
Yeah.
So I was into Madness and the Specials and Selector
all the ska and
reggae
two-tone band, was it?
Sort of
Did they call that two-tone? Ska and two-tone,
yeah.
And they were the big bands. Madness. Was Madness just starting when you were getting into music then, or?
They might have been about for a while.
And they were the biggest of the ska bands, weren't they, really?
Top of the
And would you say Madness were probably the most commercially successful of the...
Within Specials.
Yeah,
you know.
our Specials as well, of course, yeah.
Specials.
Yeah.
The Select.
The problem I have with that music is it kind of, because of the rhythmic factor, there's not a lot they can do with it, and it all kind of sounded very samey to me, like it's like clown music to me. Ska kind of sounds a bit like that. EJ, what was your passion project? Which band were you?
I only had one poster on my wall. It was Sid Vicious.
Sid Vicious, okay. His musical talent or his style?
His musical talent.
His non-existent musical talent.
They had someone else play bass on the records, I think.
It's like, you don't have to have any musical talent to get up on my wall. Just he looks cool. The spiky hair and the leather jackets and stuff.
Yeah, I was like 10, 11.
Oh, okay, that young. So I meant later than that. When you were a cocky teenager and you know more than your parents and the rest of the world. Who was your passion project? Did you have a band that you connect being a teenager with?
No, not really. I suppose I didn't have any posters on my wall after the age of 12.
Yeah.
I thought you had the Craze on your wall.
Yeah.
No, I wrote for the Craze. I had a book by the Craze. Yeah.
She was in the Craze, but that's a different kind of thing.
Was there?
Sorry, we can't discuss that.
High Wycombe branch of the Craze fan club.
Was there any style of music that you were into then? Was there like a genre or something that you kind of identified with, like punk or new wave or anything that you would sort of immerse yourself in and that was your world and your fashion? And
I mean, when I was young, like punk.
Yeah.
And then when I got to like 14, 15, it started changing. Then house music came in. So I just always I never liked one genre of music. I always liked many.
Dipped your toe into it.
I liked Frank Sinatra and Judy Garland at the same time as I liked punk.
Just liked music. Okay. what band was your passion project? But I know you're a music aficionado. Was there any band that, when you look back to your younger formative years, which you think that was the first band that sort of pinched you on the arse and made you fall in love with music as an art form and made you fall in love with everything musical?
I remember back in the 70s, I remember that I was buying, Rainbow and Black Sabbath and things like that. But I had started playing double bass before that.
Okay, what age were you when you started playing double bass then?
Must be like 10 years old.
Yeah. And what inspired you to pick up the bass? Was it just at school? Was it an instrument that sort of you like the look of? Or?
No, whenever I was hearing any kind of music on radio or wherever, I was always interested in the bass line.
Automatically drawn to the bass line, yeah.
Yeah, so, that makes me go to...
Was there any delay in you sort of picking up the bands in Greece? Or,
No.
They were all launched there about the same kind of time as they hit the UK and stuff, the American bands and stuff. Yeah.
But, if you are into music, you have to go to certain LP shop back in the day to get what you want, or sometimes if it was a bootleg album or something like that, you have to order it. So you have to wait like 15 days to be ordered.
Oh. Well, the newer generation, I don't think they understand how much we were dependent on the music magazines, like to launch new bands and new styles of music. They had a lot of power, didn't they? They could make or break the musical press, the NME and Melody Maker and stuff like that.
Melody Maker,
But I guess it was the same as any radio, wasn't it? Really, that the record labels could sort of backhandedly bribe them, say, if you want tickets to the Police gig next week, can you give a favourable review for our new band that we're launching next week? So I guess they would have had elements of that going on as well, but they could make or break bands and scenes, couldn't they? The NME and Melody Maker, they had such power. They had their finger on the pulse, didn't they, so much, and people trusted them. There were certain radio personalities, like John Peel was quite pertinent at launching new scenes and new bands and stuff, wasn't he? He seems to have his finger on the pulse.
Back in the day, we're talking about 70s, 80s now, and the magazine was what nowadays might be, your computer.
Yeah.
So all the information, I mean, they had so much power, those magazines, because all the information, you get them from...
That's your only link, wasn't it, to magazines?
Referral. That makes sense.
And like, if you got your artist's album in the back of the review section, and they used to link it, if you like this kind of band, you might also like this kind of thing, and they could make or break your sales, couldn't they?
And I don't know if you remember, you're much younger than me, but back in the day, at the end of the magazine, it had rates for certain albums. So if you were buying into that, it like if limited your views because you are related to one person or two people that they were having.
Although there's a pertinent point here, although they had all that power, the kids still had the ultimate power. Because I remember there's a famous incident where they gave Oasis, I think NME gave Oasis his second album like 1 out of 5, and it went on to be like the biggest selling album of all time or whatever in the UK, and they slated it and tried killing it because they didn't like the Gallagher brothers, but the kids went, they all bought it en masse, didn't they? And it went on to become one of the biggest albums of all time. So they didn't have that much power.
You see what I mean? Because somebody had that job, to listen first before
too much power.
Yeah. So if you were a person that wouldn't like to search and find out what's going on, you would stick with that he had 4 out of 5 stars.
Well, that's a very pertinent point, because that's how I discovered so much new music, because I would listen to the bands that I liked, and the bands that I liked and the scene they came from, they were very good at paying on, respect to the bands that they liked and other bands around them. So they'd always mention other bands, and they'd wear their T-shirts and stuff like that. It was all coming up from the punk scene and the post-punk scene and stuff like that. And they'd mention other bands. So when me and my mates, whenever sort of Nirvana or someone would mention another band, we'd leap all over it and we'd go and buy all check them out, and because like record shops, they had £1. you could flick through all of their sale rails, and you'd find the arts that they mention, and you check them out yourself. You wouldn't listen to the magazines necessarily. You listen to the artists that you knew you could trust, which goes back to your point earlier about films and stuff. Once you know you can trust someone, because we knew that Nirvana had come from a really big, important scene, and a lot of the bands shared the same ethics and the same views and the same musical ideas and stuff. If they name check someone, you'd go and check them out, and you kind of knew that you're on a sure footing there, and that they'd have something about them and that you could get into and like, kind of thing. So it all goes down to credibility, doesn't it? So
that's what used to be good about record shops. You could go in and pick a record up and go in a booth. And put a record on and just listen to it.
What would make you pick up a certain record though? Because that they'd been name checked by someone else, or the album cover?
Radio.
One of Sonia's album covers.
You might have gone in there for something else. You might be with someone else. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
But just to have that opportunity, just to put something on and listen, and then decide. I've bought lots of albums just for one track.
Well, the record shop in Amersham, they used to have like a CD listening thing. They'd have like 3 discs each side, and you can just pick up the earphones and check out the albums and stuff. But again, they were the ones that were promoted by the record companies to try and push those records this week, kind of thing. So I didn't really ever bother listening to too many of those, because they were the ones that were being pushed, and I don't like being told what to do, as you might have noticed.
So
too commercial.
Don't forget that we are almost in the same era, and back in the day, sometimes you have to go to a friend's house because he had that LP, just to listen to a new LP.
Yeah.
So that's what we are doing, because we had limited amount of money. So we were 5 of us. Each one of us we were buying like 2 albums, and then we were going from house to house.
So it might be someone's birthday, and they got to buy the new Led Zeppelin record, and you're like, did you hear M's got the new Led Zeppelin? And all your mates would come around and check it out, and then it'd be his birthday, and he might buy the next Black Sabbath one or whatever, and that added to the community of music, didn't it? Which is really important historically, that musical communities, people hanging around together and being drawn by certain music and certain genres and stuff like that. Ben, can you remember when you gone past your boy band and your Spice Girls phase? Who was your passion project band that you were into, and you wanted to look like them, and you were sort of immersed yourself in them, and you identified with the band? Is there anyone in particular that who leaps to mind? Anyone? Any posters on your wall? Any T-shirts that you remember buying and poring over?
Well, I went through kind of stages. So up until I was about 15, it was often very right-on bands.
Yeah. You were following the trends and stuff.
Well, more the kind of left-leaning, egalitarian kind of stuff, like Tracy Chapman, Rage Against the Machine, or it's a bit more aggressive.
Politically minded bands,
And then I kind of moved away from that. I don't know if I went evil. That's probably putting it a bit too strongly.
Entered your metal phase.
Yeah.
Your dark phase.
Dark phase, yeah. That's not even begun.
I guess it's a reflection of the mental state you're in as well, isn't it? The time of the bands that you're drawn to.
Yeah,
absolutely, it is. Like you needed those bands at that stage in your life to make you feel less alone in the world.
Well, possibly, but I think also that kind of how one copes with disillusionment.
Yeah.
And that's something that I'll be very open here, aren't I? Kind of struggled with, and I think that probably reflects in my musical journey.
Definitely, so, I can see that.
Seeing, there's a lot of injustice in the world, a lot of inequality, society.
And that anger led you to more aggressive, angry music?
No, not so much that. You're seeing there's, lots of, slightly more complex journey, seeing there's, society is organised around the needs of those at the top, at the complete expense of those at the bottom, and kind of what that was reflected, I think, in bands like Tracy Chapman and Rage Against the Machine and Napalm Death and so on. And I'm quite pleased that I was a teenage communist when I was a teenager.
Yeah.
Because I played Sunday League football when I was a teenager, and I scored once, and it was a cold day, so underneath my football top I had it was a Rage Against the Machine t-shirt, or picture of Che Guevara on it or something. I scored, took off my top, and all these kind of 14-year-olds and their dad saw the T-shirt, had no idea what the hell that was, but never mind. But I think the more, I wouldn't necessarily say more aggressive, but the more cynical music that I went on to listen to, that arguably didn't have such egalitarian ethos, I think was a reflection of that disillusionment with politics, particularly left-wing politics. It's that, we live in an unjust world and, want to make it better, and then constantly trying to cope with the frustrations and the disappointments of a world that seems to be moving in the opposite direction
to one you're trying to fight for and pull. Yeah, I get that. Yeah, the political stuff that you were listening to and getting involved with through the music, and then you were feeling more disillusioned because it wasn't going the way that you thought fairness should go. Then you were led down the musical artists that were more extreme. Would that be a way to...
It was, less right on. Less concerned with those themes of, freedom and equality and justice, and more about Scandinavian forests, paganism.
Is that because you were disillusioned with the fact that they weren't making an impact?
No, just disillusioned with politics. So I managed to
disconnecting from politics.
It was quite an early political career. By the time I was 15, I'd had enough of it.
Well, I agree with that. I mean, the bands that I grew up listening to, they were all very socially active and politically active as well and stuff. So it does ground you. It gives you it forms you as a person, doesn't it? The way you look at the world and stuff like that from an early formative stage, to have that information being given to you, and like you didn't even know these things happened before, and you're like,
but everything's political. I mean, there isn't anything that's not political. We're politis, which means we're political. So when they say that let's not talk about anything political, that's impossible because we are politis.
Yeah, everything is political.
People of a political
group.
True. But I think, going back to the issue of disillusionment, I think there's a personal struggle that one needs to have, not allowing that disillusionment, that frustration to make oneself bitter or hateful. But
challenges you as a person to
how
to
do you
not
bring yourself back to wanting the best for everyone and wanting to help people where you can.
To maintain that thought and that want to the best for people, but then also for your own personal reasons having to disconnect from listening to that kind of music because you were getting frustrated. Was that frustrated?
I guess so.
Because nothing was happening, no change.
I think one of the things that I'm very grateful about, having gone into the mental health system at a very young age and then staying in it, is it lifts the scales in many ways about how power operates. A lot of the kind of cliches that you get in a lot of left-wing politics, including in left-wing music, get proven to be untrue within the care sector in terms of who has power and how it operates. It's not as straightforward as is often presented, and it was during that kind of phase really when I kind of started to, towards the end of my time in hospital as a teenager, I was about 15, that's when I got into 90s Norwegian black metal with rather less pleasant ideas about the world.
Ben played some of it. Was it the black metal band we listened to last week, weren't they?
Yes.
Were they from Norway or Denmark?
Yeah,
weren't
Norway.
they? Yeah. So we listened to that last week in our listening group. We should advertise on a Tuesday, 3:00. Anyone, if they're ever at a loose end, we just listen to music and we interpret the songs and the lyrics, and the idea is that everyone brings a song or an artist or some music to the group which the other people might not have heard before, in the hope that enlightening them to new kinds of music and different songs that they might not have heard before. So that's on a Tuesday at 3:00, and you don't need any. It's one of our musical groups where you don't need any to be able to play an instrument or anything. You just come along.
Not even the recorder.
Not even the recorder, Phil. Not even the recorder to fill you with fear at this moment in time. So you don't even need to play any instruments. You just come along and get involved, have a cup of tea, and listen to some new and interesting new music.
I feel my death thrash metal experience needs updating.
Well, a Scandinavian black metal or Nirvana most of the time. And who's that band that you love, Em?
Which one you mean?
What's the guy that you said you'd like to meet last week? His
Peter
old
Hamill.
band, Peter Hamill. Yeah, Peter Hamill.
Van der Graaf Generator, probably.
That's it, Van der Graaf Generator.
Well, they're really ancient. I know those.
They're good.
Yeah.
We've had them on a few times. Van der Graaf
One
Generator.
of my favourites.
Well, there you
Mine
go.
too.
Come along on a Tuesday
Which?
afternoon, 3 p.m.
I've got a question. This is out of it's out of flow. We had covered.
Fire away. No,
Well,
go on.
lyrics.
Stream of consciousness. We like to go
I
where
thought
it
a
takes
lot
us.
of the Van der Graaf Generator lyrics were extremely profound, but then it came to me, no, they already said that because it rhymes. How much of a lyric is due to getting the rhyme right, and how much is due to some deeper meaning?
Depends who you ask.
My point of view, after listening to Van der Graaf Generation and Peter Hamill since I was 14 years old up to nowadays, is that Peter Hamill is very specific on what he's writing.
Yes.
So it's like if he writes a poem, a poem.
Right, so it is a meaningful.
Yeah, because everything has a meaning, and he adds the music on top of that.
Yes.
So the lyrics come first with him, and then music.
Well, that's
after.
very
Always.
interesting. That's
Yeah.
very interesting.
And he has said it in one of his interviews back in '85. That's the way that.
But on the flip side of that, Phil, there's certain bands that even Oasis and Nirvana, they say that the melody comes first. So they write the music, so that they'll get together and come up with some music and some changes and stuff, and then they'll they call it How Now Brown Cowan. So they won't sing anything specific. They'll just try and find a tune that
tune and
then
just
they'll
come
fit
along
the
to it,
words
really.
around the tune, and it could be very abstract or not. Sort of they'll write one line and they don't want it to be too sincere, so they'll make fun of it a little bit and they'll be cynical about the line, and then they build the song like that. So there's loads of different ways to write songs, which is one of the seamless link, Phil, to our songwriting group on a Wednesday. Which is 2:30, I believe. It is 2:30. So every week we try and start with a different way as a catalyst to come up with a song, whether it be a lyric, a bass line, a guitar part, a weird chord. Sometimes we'll come in with, some people have prepared poems and we'll try and the words are already finished and we'll try and fit those words to the poem. Sometimes we'll have to adapt the poem slightly. There's some songs that one of our members, Siggy's, brought in where he's brought in a poem and we've adapted it to fit the music slightly, but certain times we've kept his lyrics and as the basis of the thing. And each week, one of our main ideas is that we'll use something else as the starting point to see where we can end up.
Well,
so we obviously start with a blank canvas, and at the end of it we have a song.
Nice.
So there's different ways of writing songs, but as Emma said, in Peter Hamill's case, he's very strict about his lyrics. So he starts with the lyrics and then he works the music around that, does he?
Yeah.
But traditionally, there's a band called Manic Street Preachers who I don't like because they take that too literally for me. So the bass player writes the lyrics and then he gives them to the guitar player, and sometimes they'll shoehorn in words, and to me it makes me cringe because I can see where it doesn't really fit the melody, and they've shoehorned a word in or something, and it doesn't really fit the melody.
Yeah, but even that is a different point of view.
If that's what they're saying.
To express yourself, because when you're writing a song, doesn't matter if it is punk, if it is progressive, whatever it is, you have a collective work of musicians, and somebody that he has an idea of writing something down all together. So there is no pattern, a certain way to make a song. You know what I mean? You might have, for example, in your head the guitar line. Somebody else that plays the keyboards might say, "Oh, over here, I want to make that."
So it's a group endeavour.
So that's why.
I see it as a challenge. I feel like if you can to try and get the same lyrical idea across, if it doesn't flow, then you can kind of restructure it and just choose different words or make it flow differently while still keeping the same meaning and the same context. That's what I like to do. So you don't necessarily lose any of the theme of the song, but you frame it or word it in a different way, and that's part of the challenge for songwriting for me to.
But it's still personal preference.
Yeah.
It's flowing for you.
Yeah.
For me, maybe it's not flowing.
There's a song that the Manic Street Preachers called "If You Tolerate This," and it just smacks of them trying to fit the words in, and it doesn't really flow right to me. And it was used to stick in my throat a little bit. They could have given it a tweaked it a little bit and it would have flowed a bit better.
Is this why bands split up? Because of creative differences?
Yes, that's what
Because
they
they've
mean,
got a different
creative differences, yeah.
interpretation of, yeah.
So that the bass player will come in and say, I've got this poem here and I want you to work it, and then I'll go, can I change that a little bit? And he'll go, no, I don't want you to change that. And that is literally creative differences, and you rub each other up the wrong way, and then next time you'll try changing something and he'll say, you're changing my song again, and it escalates, and that's exactly how.
So it's not always they run off with the other person's partner.
No.
It can be as simple as that.
It can be as simple as that. Yeah, I can't be in the band with that guy anymore because he keeps asking me to put, if you tolerate this, then your children will be next, and it doesn't flow. It's like, it doesn't flow, man. And then I have little arguments like that. And
I can see this is a profound subject of great depth for you.
Absolutely. Sonia,
Oh.
who was your passion
I
project?
was just enjoying listening to everybody else's points.
Who was your passion project as a child? When you were a cool teenager, when people thought you looked like Madonna? Who was whose posters were on the wall? Who were you dressing like?
I never had posters on the. Oh, actually, and I tell a lie. My sister insisted. She had a picture of
Blaming
David
your
Cassidy.
sister.
No, she had a
David
she had
Cassidy?
She had a
Oh,
picture of
David
David
Cassidy. God, I
Cassidy on
remember
her
he was even
wall.
before my time.
Therefore, I had to like Donny Osmond.
Okay, that's right.
But
Was
it wasn't.
Puppy
No,
Love?
It wasn't. No. Yes, she even bought me the single for Christmas, and it
What,
was
Puppy Love?
Yeah, and it's like, oh God.
So I meant more after
I was
that. So
much
you
more-
had
no.
your Osmonds phase, and then who was after that?
I was much more into. Then came Mike Oldfield.
Oh,
Oh, yeah,
good.
yeah,
Yeah, there you
I
go.
was really big into Mike. I had to get every album that he
Yeah.
had, and I smiled when you mentioned about getting like I ended up getting a whole box set because I was just trying to get one track.
Oh wow.
One
really?
track of his.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It does sound...
And so I got all of his albums and everything. And I was inspired by the way he would lay down lots of different tracks with different instruments and things. And,
Layering.
And that influenced me quite a bit.
Yeah. Oh
He
yeah.
played a lot of different instruments.
Yeah.
Didn't he? A lot
Yeah.
of it's just him, isn't it?
Yeah, exactly.
Clever
Exactly.
man.
And I actually inherited a reel-to-reel tape machine and also a cassette recorder as well. And I was bouncing backwards and forwards trying to do this multi-layering thing with
Multi-tracking.
these.
Oh wow, he
with these
inspired you
two-
to that level.
Yeah, with these two
be
different.
creative.
Yeah,
Amazing.
Yeah.
Amazing.
And was that when? Could you play the piano and keyboards at this point?
Yeah.
Yeah.
I in fact, because I was very lucky when I was at school. One of our music teachers, he was a very inspiring musician. Roger Cutts, his name is, and he used to reorchestrate classical pieces for piano.
Yeah.
And so we were lucky in our school. We had, over various different parts of the buildings, we had about 8 pianos that could all be brought together in the main hall. And so he would orchestrate, and we would actually have a rendition of like different classical
When the
pieces,
saints
or
go
like
marching in, or
the
when
Firebird, Stravinsky's
that's
Firebird,
That's great. Yeah.
done with 8 pianos, and
There was different instruments, but all playing. 'Cause
yeah,
it
all
sounds
playing,
different.
yeah. But this was actually playing actual pianos.
Yeah.
They'd all been orchestrated. We had percussion as well, but it also inspired me to. I actually did a 4-part piano piece as well that we did.
Have you got this
one
recorded
night.
or anywhere?
No, I haven't.
Bring it along to the jamming group Thursdays.
But I couldn't actually
2 till
write
4.
music. I wasn't very good at actually writing music
so how were you
down.
doing it
Although
then?
I wrote, I could play and whatever and read music. I wasn't actually really very good at scoring. Nowadays, you've actually got a program that actually does it for you. I would have killed for that when I was that age.
Have you got any of your 4-track recordings?
No,
No?
I don't know. But I could work it out again. I could do it.
excellent.
I could do it again.
So this is piquing your interest. My mixing
Well, this
desk
is
here,
it. This is why I found it fascinating.
Yeah.
It's not so much the actual production of. Sorry, it's not actually the content I'm interested. I'm interested in the production side of things. But anyway, so Mike Oldfield then led me on to other stuff. I enjoyed Supertramp as well. And then I got into punk.
Oh, you're a punk, were you?
and
Did you have a
stuff.
mohawk?
I went to no, but I did. I used to have like half of my hair used to be
yes,
dyed
you
red,
mentioned on the previous
and then
podcast.
black on this side.
You used
But
to
it was-
hide it, didn't you?
I used to
from your
hide it.
parents, yeah.
Job interviews.
Yeah, no, I was still at school at that point. It's to hide it used to hide it, and then sort of, came it
and
up
then-
out of the way.
Go home.
And another
Oh, I just
interesting,
realised I've got a piece of paper in my hair. Sorry.
and another interesting story which Sonia's told on a previous podcast as well, that she used to wear leather trousers when she went out. And when
No,
she used
they
to get
weren't.
home, she couldn't climb up the stairs without waking her parents up because of the squeaking.
I
So
hadn't heard
she
that
used to
one.
get in
I hadn't
drunk and
heard
then
that
pull her leather trousers off at the bottom of the stairs and then sneak up the stairs past their parents. There you go. Was that the punk days as well, was
so
it? Or
embarrassing. Yeah,
Are they
they
punk
weren't
leather
leather,
trousers?
actually. They were made of nylon. They were
Nylon
and they
plastic
used to make this
trousers.
swooshing sound as you walked
So you had
around.
to
DNA version.
get
And then
in.
I had to try and avoid the squeaky stare. There's
So
always
can you ever
one.
imagine her parents like opening the door and like seeing Sonia
Oh,
without her trousers on walking
God.
by Sonia's back?
Yeah, that could
just,
be
like,
misinterpreted.
shut the
Yeah,
door.
exactly. But but no,
Oh,
I
dear.
really got into punk, and I went to see the Jam and the Clash. I was very lucky to actually see them all play live, and Elvis Costello as well. And I loved Ian Drury and the Blockheads.
Oh, yeah.
Killed me in the
Yeah,
eye road.
loved all of.
Who was the
loved all
best
of that.
out of all those live bands that you just mentioned?
Ian
there?
Drury, definitely. Yeah, definitely. I really loved that. I mean, because I think it's because he had like a whole like proper band,
Yeah,
like a huge
jazz section. and-
Yeah. And saxophone player was just absolutely amazing.
Yeah.
Absolutely
Where
amazing.
did you go and see him? Where did you actually see
Oh,
him?
down somewhere in South London, Lewisham. We're down at Lewisham.
Did you go to art college as well? Over
Yeah,
that place,
yeah. I had friends that lived in Woolwich, so we used to. They seem to be more arty on the south of the river than we seem to be on the north. It was a bit more posh, I suppose. But you get more local bands playing, and that's how
As a proud South Londoner, Phil.
No, well, that's how I think it's taking my credentials a bit too far. I mean, I wasn't. Yeah, I was more so far south that it wasn't London anymore.
No.
Yeah.
I loved it.
Yeah, who was your passion project as a youngster, Phil? Which
Problem was that I came to puberty very late, so I missed it entirely. Really. I mean,
and you were scarred by the recorder incident.
Well,
weren't you?
yeah,
music,
that sort of
music was
thing.
dead to you after that. Music teacher humiliated you with your solo on the recorder that time.
yeah, well, it's entirely my own fault. But I remember at school, I suppose 13, 14, everyone was quite competitive in class, even at my school, And then come the third year or so, next year, like people have suddenly gone off and started to go to concerts and bands. They weren't interested in the academic side anymore. So it was a bit like, the extinction of the dinosaurs, because half the class was suddenly not there, if not in body, at least in mind. And therefore there was room for us people to actually start to move up in the ranks a bit.
Yeah.
So I did that rather than listen to the
Get
music.
into the music.
Yeah.
Right, so we like to finish off the podcast each week. We've got a few minutes left with one of our mindfulness questions. So we've had 1 to 6. Number 27, I believe, is gone. So would you like to choose a number, Tony, between 1 and 99? Well, between 7 and 99, because we've already had 1 to 6. And excluding 27, of course. We're making more and more rules as we go along.
11.
No prime
11.
numbers.
11. So, number 11. This is a good question. Are you ready for this, Tony?
Go on.
Is there a place in the world that you feel most represents who you are? Like a town or a place or a city or...
No, I don't think of it like that.
No?
No, just being a human being.
A citizen of the
Get on
world.
with everybody,
You're a citizen of the
wherever
world.
you go. Yeah.
Where was your favourite place that you've lived as someone that has lived all around the world?
Well, I haven't lived all around the world, but
You do yourself a disservice.
different places for different reasons and different people. So I just stick with my first answer.
Yeah,
Say I've enjoyed wherever I've been for the most part.
a citizen of the world. EJ, is there a place in the world that you feel most represents who you are?
No.
No?
No.
What's your favourite place that you've ever been? Is there anywhere that you thought
Too many places.
too many places? Yeah.
Right.
That's a good.
You
it's
know,
good that you've experienced
not
lots of.
not one place can represent you.
Yeah.
You like, that gypsy
Travelling spirit. Yeah.
spirit.
Yeah, that's a good answer. Is there a place in the world that you feel most represents who you are?
I wouldn't say that.
No?
No.
Similar to Tony, you're
When your life was like that you had to live in different places of the world, and to travel around because you had the ability to.
Yeah.
Or you try to escape from something naively, thinking that you can escape it by traveling somewhere else. And the problem keeps coming, follows you like your tail.
As the famous song goes, everywhere you go, you always take the weather with you.
Yeah. So
If only it was just the weather.
Yeah,
you have to take your wife with you as well.
So that's my answer.
Yeah. Ben, is there anywhere in particular that you feel represents who you are?
I think, like as other people have said, or similar to what other people have said, I mean, there's places I'm fond of. When I've travelled to the Middle East, I found myself feeling very at home. There's
like a spiritual homecoming.
Possibly, but there's also the cultural differences are much more open, hospitable culture. People are a lot more chatty, tactile, but not in a unpleasant way. You know, you'd be walking along a street and you feel this hand on your shoulder, and you feel yourself just being very gently glided out of the way, so the person behind you can get past.
Yeah.
And you walk past a cafe, and you'll be invited in for tea and baklava, and then you feel apologetic. You're asked to pay. They say no.
No, that's nice. Yeah, you felt at home in those environments. Yeah, it sounds like a much nicer environment, to be honest. Sonia, is there a place in the world you feel most represents who you are? The ice rink.
Along those lines, anywhere where there's icebergs.
Icebergs? You're a Titanic fan, are you? Yeah.
Cold, you know.
You like cold, yeah.
Yeah, little, there's a little bit that you can see on the top, but there's an awful lot below.
Do you ski? Are you a skier or snowboarder? No,
I don't.
You just like staying in the warm, looking at the cold.
I actually prefer cold weather than the hot weather, because I like to put layers on. But
so last night was ideal for you, was it? It's freezing last night.
You can always get warm, can't you?
Yeah.
It's harder cooling
but when you're hot and you're down to your last layer of clothing,
you've taken your leather trousers
there's nothing you can do.
You can just sit
can't
in
go
the
anywhere
sea
else.
with the sea breeze.
Oh yes, sea will cool you down.
Yeah,
that's true.
Yeah.
Sit in the sea.
So
And Phil, is there a place in the world you feel most represents who you are?
Well, strangely enough, when you're out on a walk and you reach the turning point or the target of the walk, quite often you feel a sense of specialness about that place. I mean, even places around here, you look down to the valley, to Cheshire, or walk generally. So it's almost like the effort you've gone to get there makes this place special. It is special in itself, but there's a little bit of extra specialness put into it.
The effort to get there. Absolutely. Okay, that is a wrap for this week. This has been episode 7 of the Friends2Gether podcast. We'll go around the tables for everyone to say goodbye. We'll start with you, Tony.
There was an old man from Nantucket.
Well, we'll wait with bated breath for the end of that.
Tune in next week for the second part of that. What do they call them? Not poem, tongue twisters. Are they tongue twisters or
limericks?
Limericks. Yeah. Next week.
AABBA. Yeah.
Not for public consumption.
No. EJ, would you like to say goodbye to everyone?
Goodbye to everyone.
Thank you very much. Goodbye to everyone.
Ben, would you like to say goodbye to everyone?
I would. It's been a pleasure. Thank you all.
Thank you for your company. Sonia?
Yeah, thanks for sharing. It's been really good.
Some great stories this week, yeah.
Yeah, and take care, everybody.
And
Bye.
Phil, last but not least.
Yes, I wholeheartedly agree with that. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much, everybody. Goodbye.
The Let's Be Frank podcast is brought to you by the Oasis Partnership, a charity providing high-quality social and psychological support services to improve people's mental health and well-being. We deliver socially inclusive, open-access support for the wider communities of Buckinghamshire through pioneering and innovative partnerships and initiatives. Oasis provides free and subsidised health and wellbeing classes and support groups for the Chiltern area, including mindfulness, yoga, fitness, art and music. Oasis also helps support people to reach their full potential through our substance misuse treatment service, Routes to Work and outreach service. The Oasis Substance Misuse Treatment Service is provided in partnership with Inclusion, part of Midlands Partnership NHS Foundation Trust, delivering 1 recovery bucks. The Let's Be Frank podcast was launched in tribute to the memory of long-term Oasis patron and world-renowned cinematographer Frank Hodge, and is recorded in the Frank Hodge Podcast Studio, our new community podcasting facility launched in his honour.